Hello, Wonderhussy here, lurking on a pedestrian bridge on the Las Vegas Strip, trying to sneak a peek at the Sphere. Look at that. It's that iconic, giant, spherical entertainment venue that they built here in Vegas a few years ago, right when I moved out to Death Valley. And I'm kicking myself for not following more closely when they were building this thing, because I was reading about the construction and it sounded absolutely bonkers. Anyway, this spot here on the pedestrian bridge going from the Venetian to the Wynn is supposed to be one of the best viewpoints of this thing, and you do get a pretty unobstructed view of it from here. But then there's this guy trying to sell water for $2 yelling in your ear, and all this traffic going back and forth, and you can't really get up close and personal. You know, I want to see this thing up close. In fact, I'd like to get close enough to actually touch it. So I'm pretty sure if I drive down the road, there are a couple of little back streets I can park on right near the Sphere, and then we can walk over and get a look at it up close. Okay, dang. It definitely wasn't as easy to park as they made it seem online. I ended up parking here at the Hughes Center, which is sort of a block east, right behind the Sphere, and it even looked like they were charging to park over here, so I'm not really sure what the legality of this is. Don't do what I'm doing. Especially because there's a security guard in a pickup truck right over there, probably watching me, and he probably knows exactly what I'm doing, which is what 1,000 other people probably do all the dang time. Park close enough to get a close-up look at this thing. I mean, it really is like some sort of unattainable religious, like, what's that thing that Muslims pilgrimage to in Mecca, the Kaaba? You know, you can't even get close enough to it to put your friggin' hand on it because they have it behind a paywall, essentially. I mean, I'm not sure you have to pay to park there. I mean, if you're going to see a show there, I would think the parking was free, but I don't know. They didn't build that many parking spots to begin with. I think I read online the seating capacity of this thing is over 17,000, 20,000 if you're doing standing room only. But there's only something like 300 parking spots. So really, you're supposed to take, I guess, the monorail or a taxi or an Uber. But I'm on a budget, so I'm just gonna hope that the security guard doesn't call the police and tow my car while I take a quick walk over here. Okay, let's see if the view from the top of this parking structure is as good as they say. Oh, wow, well, yeah. Man, I wanted to wait until it got a little bit darker to film this because the lights would show up even better, but, well, if it's dark, the video won't come out, A, and B, I have to drive all the way back out to Death Valley tonight, an hour-and-a-half drive, and I ate a really big serving of asada fries for lunch, and it's going to be a struggle to stay awake even if I leave now, let alone if I leave, you know, at 10 o'clock at night. And I know this is probably kind of a basic video, like everyone's already been out here and done this because it's been lit up since I think late 2021, 2022, maybe it was 2023. I don't know. It's been at least a couple years. It just took me this long to kind of appreciate, I guess, how freaking remarkable this thing is. I mean, say what you will about Vegas and say what you will about all these flashy tourist attractions, but that's like a man-made marvel of engineering. You know what I mean? Like, if Ben Franklin were here today and saw this thing, can you imagine how his mind would be blown? I think about that sometimes, actually, randomly, when I'm in an airplane. You know, you're sitting in the plane and there's a baby crying next to you and you're cramped up and the food sucks and but I always think, man, if I was Benjamin Franklin somehow magically transported to this airplane, I wouldn't be bored at all. I would be absolutely fascinated by every little detail and trying to figure out how everything worked. Well, I feel like he'd be the same about this thing. I mean, it's just wild. I think this was, at the time it was built, the biggest LED screen in the world. In the meantime, I guess an even bigger screen was built somewhere. I think they are building another sphere like this in, guess where? Dubai. But I don't think it's done yet. This is the biggest spherical building in the world. There were other spherical entertainment venues before this was built, namely Epcot Center, okay? Where are my Disney fans at? Jefferson, if you happen to be watching this video. I know Jefferson used to work for Disney. Anyway, Epcot Center was one of the first big round globes. And then there's an arena in Stockholm, Sweden, the Avicii Arena, that is also a big sphere, but it's not quite as big as this one. Oh my God, look how amazing that effect is. I mean, you could literally just take mushrooms or eat a gummy and hang out here on the roof of this parking garage and have a pretty good time. I mean, it's like the world's biggest lava lamp. Am I right? Oh, one of the shows that they had here was Fish, okay? If you're into jam band music like the Grateful Dead. Well, Dead and Company did a residency here of like 48 shows, I think. And then the band Fish, which is the same kind of hippy-dippy music, everybody's on drugs, they did a run of like 4 or 5 shows here. I would love to see either one of those bands here. Fish is known for putting on a really cool light show, so I feel like that would be absolutely amazing, because as cool as the outside of this building is, the inside is supposed to be even cooler. I think the whole ceiling is, well, the whole interior is like one giant LED screen, and they play all these trippy light shows just like that lava lamp effect. But to the music of Fish or the Grateful Dead while you're on psychedelics with 17,599 of your closest friends, can you imagine how much fun that would be? I'm not even a Deadhead, man. I like some of the Grateful Dead's music, but just from a anthropological standpoint, it is on my bucket list to go to a Dead and Company and or a Fish show in this venue, which I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain any further. You know what I mean. Anyway, this thing is the biggest spherical building in the world. It's 516 feet wide, I guess at its widest point. Now, the whole thing obviously isn't above ground, and spoiler alert, it's not like it is an actual sphere that they just plunked down into the ground. They built it like that. I think there's a basement that goes down like 21 feet. They excavated 21 feet into the earth to build some kind of basement VIP area. Maybe that's where the green rooms are for the artists that play here, because aside from Fish and the Grateful Dead, so far I think U2 opened it. U2 was the band that opened this thing. They played the first series of shows. And then the Eagles did a run of shows. Now, I love the Eagles as much as anyone. I just feel like, what do the Eagles bring to a crazy light show, like a big screen like this? You know, they're not known for their weird visuals. So yeah, I would have enjoyed going to see the Eagles here, but I don't know, man. Like, if I go see a show here, I want it to be something really trippy. Anyway, so like I was saying, it's 516 feet wide at the base, and it's 366 feet high, I guess, from the street level to the top. Which, again, I'm so frustrated that I was asleep at the wheel while they were building this thing. Actually, in my defense, I wasn't asleep at the wheel. They started building this thing like right before the friggin' COVID pandemic happened. And so I wasn't really in Vegas during the pandemic, so I kind of, I guess, missed out on what was going on. I don't know, a lot of people missed out on what was going on during the pandemic, so I can be as mad at myself as I want, but it was just bad timing. Anyway, I think they did have to pause construction for a while during the pandemic, because remember how there was all those supply chain shortages, so they couldn't get construction materials. Oh my God, look at this. It's like a desert stained glass effect. Boy, you can't take your eyes off this thing for a minute. It's absolutely amazing, the designs they put on this screen, which I guess is 1.23 or 1.25 million LED pucks is what I read them called online. I don't know if that's the same thing as an LED diode, but there's 1.23 million of them all over the exterior of this thing, and I guess there's some software programmer somewhere that feeds in these designs that they come up with in Burbank, California, okay? Burbank, right outside Hollywood, where all this kind of creative stuff is cooked up, they have I think it's a quarter-size version of the sphere, a little mini sphere that they use to test out, I guess, the light shows for the inside and maybe the light stuff for the outside. I don't know if the one in Burbank actually lights up from the outside. I might be going to LA in a few weeks. I might have to drive around Burbank and see if I can find the mini sphere and find out for myself if it has a light show like this or if that's just Vegas. I mean, because it seems very Vegas. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you can see because it's kind of off center. Wizard of Oz. I guess they have everything pointed that way because that's the direction of well, you can't see because of this tree, but the Ferris wheel and most of the strip hotels, I guess, are that way. And the airport, when you land in an airplane, that's all that direction. So I guess that's why everything is facing that way. Anyway, it looks like they're doing some kind of crazy immersive Wizard of Oz show coming soon. I'm pretty sure it hasn't started yet. Anyway, yeah, I was saying how I wished I was paying attention while they were building this thing because the construction, from what I read online, was mind-boggling. I mean, if you're in the construction industry, you can probably imagine how complicated it would be to put something like this together. I mean, even if it wasn't covered in 1.23 million LED pucks, it's still tough to build a sphere. Okay, I was reading online that they had to get the world's biggest crane shipped over from Belgium. Apparently they shipped this giant crane from Belgium to this port near Santa Barbara. Oh, look, now it's a basketball. I wish I could get up closer to the dang thing. I'm gonna zoom in. I mean, I would just really like to see. Oh my God, look at this. All these crazy LED lights. Whoa! Boy, I should have warned everyone in advance to take a magic bean about 30 minutes ago, and then you would really be enjoying this video. Anyway, back to the construction of this thing. So they got the world's biggest crane from Belgium, shipped it across the ocean to Santa Barbara. It took 120 trucks just to bring the pieces of this crane. I wish I could have seen this dang crane. So they trucked this giant crane out and put it together to hoist these giant pieces of scaffolding up. I mean, again, it's like, what I say, it was like 366 feet high. So yeah, that's like some giant cranes to lift these big steel scaffolding. I guess there was a ton of rebar used in it. I'm not 100% sure of the construction, but if you look at it closely, you can see, maybe, you can kind of see the sky through the top of it. Well, I guess the inside roof is, like, I thought I read online it was like a third smaller than the exoskeleton. That's what they call it, the exoskeleton. Oh, look, the eagles. Oh, with all those Joshua trees, I guess. Maybe there's some like really cool desert visuals in that show. I mean, yes, I do love the eagles, so, you know, if somebody were to offer me a free ticket, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. I'm just saying, I feel like the Grateful Dead, man, there's no comparison. Anyway, when they built this thing, they had to pour, I don't understand, but they had to pour 10,000 tons of concrete on top of it. Basically like, kind of like frosting a cake or just like, bloop, bloop, bloop. They blobbed it down on top and then I guess smoothed it out over the exterior. 10,000 tons of concrete, which works out to be a 10-inch thick layer. All, I guess that must be the interior dome that they're talking about. The exoskeleton, it seems like we can see through the top of it, so that can't be concrete. I guess it's just the inside. Well, I don't know what they call the inside dome, but whatever, that thing, that was 10,000 tons of concrete. Okay, well, as cool as this view is, I feel like we should walk over and see if we can get up close and personal, even though when we're up close, you're not really going to be able to see the scope and the patterns as much, but I think it still might be interesting. I will say that the people who work at the Hughes Center here in these offices have an incredible view of this thing. In fact, I think those two are residential towers, and they probably have, if you were on one of the upper floors of those buildings, you'd have a pretty badass view of this thing. And you could have some very interesting parties in your apartment. You know, like if I lived in that apartment building and I had a unit that was facing that thing, I'd have all these cushions in my living room, maybe like a hookah pipe. I'd have a little box with some magic beans in it. And I would invite my friends over to just hang out and smoke hookah and look out the window. In fact, if it was a nice evening, you could even have the patio doors open, let that nice balmy Vegas strip air in, and just watch this thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess it would get old after a while, but I don't know. They're probably constantly coming up with new designs for it, and so it never would get boring. Ugh, and it's a shame that something so beautiful is surrounded by, oh my god, look, it's a giant shopping cart. Only in Vegas. Boy, I guess that's a thing, Cartzilla. You can pay to ride around in a giant shopping cart. Boy, Vegas gets to be more and more like Burning Man every day, which this sphere itself really does kind of look like one of those crazy art installations you see up there. Okay, wow, I guess you can pretty much just walk right up to this thing and pose for sexy photos in front of it. Oh, I should have brought a bikini. Wow, this is wild. I feel like I gotta go into a wide angle just to try to capture the scope of it. I'm not normally like a tech person, but I am a big fan of crazy shit in the desert. And if this doesn't qualify as crazy shit in the desert, I don't know what does. When you get this close, it's hard to even see. Oh, I guess this is that cactus stained glass thing that we were looking at earlier. It's hard to tell when you're this close. It just kind of becomes this impressionist blur. Oh wow, it's a trip though. When it goes dark between the different visuals, you can see all, I guess those are the little LED pucks they were talking about. Uh-oh, copyrighted music. That's the downside with getting this close, because Hotel California was playing in the background, and because of how litigious Don Henley in particular is said to be when it comes to allowing his music on streaming platforms, I had to record this cheesy voiceover to avoid getting a copyright strike. But all I was blathering on about anyway was the fact that to promote the upcoming Wizard of Oz experience, or whatever it's going to be called, they had these giant inflatable legs in stripy tights and ruby slippers poking out from under the edge of the building, as if the sphere had been dropped right on top of the Wicked Witch of the West. Big deal. Okay, anyway, it looks like you can't actually touch the side of this thing because they do have this crowd control barricade, and yeah, there's kind of like a little opening that I could squeeze through, but there's a bunch of security guards around, so I'm just gonna go up as close as we can. In fact, I'll give you a side view. This is what it looks like if you're curious. Oh, this is actually really interesting because we can kind of see inside the way this thing was built. There's the LED light screen going all the way up, 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 and then over on this side, look, you can kind of see the exoskeleton, and then I guess that's the inner shell that they poured the 10,000 tons of concrete, which they really had to make this thing super strong because I guess the weight of all these LED screens, and there's apparently a really amazing audio system in there too. All that stuff is very heavy, and so they needed some kind of super duper hardcore, 10,000 ton, 10-inch thick concrete shell to support all that weight. Now, I don't know anything about physics, but I do know, or I thought I knew, and I looked up and confirmed, that a sphere is actually probably the strongest shape there is. I guess there's some dispute as to whether a pyramid is stronger than a sphere, but a sphere, I think, is generally recognized as the strongest shape. I mean, how can I even talk about physics with all this going on behind me? I mean, can you imagine what it must be like out here in this parking lot before, during, and after one of those Grateful Dead shows? I mean, talk about the greatest party on earth. This parking lot must be full of school buses. Oh my god, look how cute these kids are. Hi. Doing good. This is amazing.
He's obsessed with it.
Yeah, me too, and I've never gone up and looked at it up close like this. It's pretty neat. Oh, I love that. They probably live in one of these little crummy apartment complexes back here. I mean, That's where I thought I could park. I read online that you could park on these side streets back there. There is this kind of janky little apartment complex right there, tucked away behind the Venetian. I guess it's one of those deals where the Venetian probably tried to buy it and build a parking garage or something, but the guy who owned it wanted too much money. Kind of like that apartment complex I did a video on once behind the Mirage. Same kind of deal. I mean, if you look across the parking lot, you can kind of see in the distance, there's that little apartment complex. Man, I wonder what the rents go for there. You know, here I am talking about these fancy folks in the high-rise looking at the Sphere. I'll bet you anything, the view from those humble little apartments isn't too bad either. I wonder if the rent got raised on those things when they built this, at least in the units that are facing it. Anyway, if you're interested in going to check this thing out for yourself and you don't want to pay to park, I read online that you could park here on this Manhattan street, but it looks to me like the Sphere has it pretty much all blocked off. And they're charging even to park. Well, I guess you can't park along the street. I think you used to be able to just park along the street here, but you can see that the man has all the parking blocked off here, probably so they can make a buck charging you to park in the 300 spaces at this 20,000 capacity venue, which incidentally cost $2.3 billion to build. That's right, billion with a B. $2.3 billion. It cost more to build this thing than it even did to build that disgusting monstrosity of a Raiders football stadium over that way. I'm not a big fan of the stadium. It looks like the Death Star. Oh, wow. They should do this thing. They probably already did. Like the Death Star. Wouldn't that be amazing from Star Wars? Well, I just think this is way more interesting than that boring-ass black arena. That thing I think was $1.9 billion to build. This was $2.3 billion. Now you might go, bread and circuses. You know, here's all these people living in the friggin' sewers in Vegas. Literally, there's people living in the storm drain tunnels, probably underneath where we're standing right now, underneath this magnificent folly. Yet, there's some guy in New York, it's Madison Square Garden, the same people behind Madison Square Garden, who has enough spare change rolling around in his pockets or in his investor buddies' pockets to shell out $2.3 billion to build a giant spherical concert venue. Oh man, look at this. I just noticed on the way up to the top of the parking garage where we were looking at the Sphere, it says, no alcohol, no drugs, no fun. Basically, I guess they're on to me and my hippie ilk and our nefarious plans of taking psychedelics and staring at this amazing, ginormous $2.3 billion lava lamp. I mean, that's essentially what this is. Okay, anyway, it's getting dark and I've got many miles to go before I sleep, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye for now to the fabulous Sphere. But I will most certainly be back, hopefully on the inside, and hopefully on mushrooms.